Hey traders, welcome. Thank you for joining me. We're going to just quickly go through, obviously, the some of the key things that are happening in the markets at the moment. We'll have a look at some of the charts that we review on a weekly basis. So, getting started here, first up is our gold strategy. So, we'll have a look at the gold market. So you can see there that we had some good support there at around the 1191.50 level, so just dipping it below 1200. You can see there the price is pushed up just to push above that 1240 resistance point, and we're getting close to the 200 period moving average. So anytime we get close to a 200 period moving average, there's always the potential for that to be a key point of resistance. So we'll see how that plays out. We could possibly get a pushback around this area, and if we open up the charts here, that's 1260 or just below 1260. So we'll see what happens there. Volatility's dropped off, which is not such a bad thing. We don't want too much volatility. We want a little bit of movement, but too much volatility typically means that your orders don't get executed as well as you'd hoped. So we'll track that. And if we have a look at the weekly candle close, so this is one of Jeff's key strategies, the weekly candle close. I'll just walk you through that. We'll go to the gold. Let's go to the gold daily chart. Pretty sure I have that listed on there. Where are we? No, we'll go to Trader 9. So you can see there the weekly candle close. Now remember, the weekly candle close is the previous week's high and low. So you've got 1236.50, 1256.60, and our midpoint, which is 1247.10. Now, once price opens for this week, so it's this coming week, we're trying to gauge the direction or the bias for this week. And you can see there that if we highlight that candle, you'll see that price is clearly above that midpoint. So that would be a bullish bias. And anytime we're looking at a bullish bias, you'll see the first couple of days of trading on crude. If we have a look at our charts here, we've had a nice little, we picked up a very small winner there, but a winner nonetheless. We had a bullish up day on the Monday, and then on Tuesday we're still obviously into early market action. We've got a pin bar there, but prices opened up strongly again, so we've just broken through that early morning high, so setting new highs for the day, and we'll no doubt see what happens and transpires over the course of the trading day. But if we have a look at our 8 o'clock, now there's two time slots that I want you to have a look at. I want you to have a look at 5 o'clock, so there's 5, and 8 o'clock as well. They're the two time slots that I'm particularly interested in. Now 5 and 8, the reason for being is that they tend to typically be the catalyst for some movement on the market. So 5 and 8, just keep an eye on those two time slots as far as money flow and moving in the market. And you can see there that just after 8 o'clock we got that nice push up, really nice rally. And if we go to the Renko chart, so that gold GC trend, you can have a look there. It's tracking beautifully. So we're making new equity highs there. So that system hasn't had a lot of has been obviously being managed over the last 6 months with monthly optimizations. Very basic optimization. I'm going to talk a little bit about that tonight. So when we talk about optimizing this strategy, we're talking about optimizing, and I will go into the strategy itself. We're basically just talking about optimizing the time of the day, the stop, which is the initial stop, the trailing stop, and the other thing we're optimizing is the MACD, which is the run up. So that's all we're optimizing. Now, what we're also doing is we're picking the most profitable days of the week to trade. So if we look at our data window, remember our strategy has a tracker which tracks the profitability of each day of the week. So we can see how much money each of these days are making. And if they're not making enough money, then we can turn that off. So you can see they're making quite a bit of money those days of the week. So that's where we're at with the gold strategy, the combo, which is trading longs and shorts. You can see the average trading net profit sitting at a 160 level, so that's quite a solid effort as far as that system's performance. So let's have a quick look. While we're on gold, we may as well have a look at number one. So gold on the daily chart has crossed above the 50 period moving average, which would be an indication that we're potentially getting a good bullish run here. Once it closes above that 200, that's a solid indication that we've got a nice bullish gold market. As far as our trades go, we know that we've got a weekly candle close, and we'll just go back to this. Our weekly candle close is bullish. We're closing above we're moving towards that 50 period moving average. If we look at gold on say for example on a intraday basis, using our market directional indicator. So if we have a look at our market directional indicator, you can see that yesterday was, as I said, fairly bullish. So we'll pull back here for a second. So if you're not familiar with the market directional indicator, let me kind of walk you through how this indicator works. What it does is it gives you an indication of whether the market is either bullish or bearish, and you as the trader get to choose what interval of time or what interval or what how many ticks you're going to make that assessment in the trading day. So if you're an intraday trader, you're going to want fairly up-to-date information to determine what kind of a market you're trading in. So, and it needs to be objective, doesn't it? So we don't want to be subjective in our trading, we want to be 100% objective. So the way this works is that the indicator is applied by, we go insert analysis technique, and we're using the daily directional indicator. So what it's telling us is the strength of the day's price action. Now that can be a daily strength indicator, or it can be a intraday. So what I've got this set up for here is that if I look at the indicator itself, the daily directional indicator, I've got it set up to work on a 5-minute chart. So it's working on a 5-minute chart at the moment. The delay, or the time that it's looking for, is every 30 minutes it's looking to make an assessment of what's happening with the market. So do we have a bullish market or do we have a bearish market? And I can either set it as fixed or dynamic. If I set it as fixed, it means that I'm getting an idea of what's happening for the day, and I do it once, that's it, and that tells me whether we've got a bullish or bearish day for the remainder of the day. If I'm using the indicator from a dynamic point of view, I hit one there, or I select one there, and that input then resets this every 30 minutes to tell me whether I'm bullish, bearish, and it's a dynamic way of assessing what's happening with the market. So let's have a look at that. So let's change that to a 1 and go to 0, and we'll do it after 60 minutes of trading. So at the 60-minute mark of each day, we're going to kind of get a bit of a feel for what kind of a market we have. So 60 minutes have elapsed, so that's our 60-minute mark there. And what it does is it identifies, it gives you a value for the high and the low and the midpoint. And then what it does is it takes the high away from the low, and it gives you a value, and it divides that by 2. And whatever that value comes out at, if it's a positive value, then that means that price is above that midpoint. If it's a negative value, then price is below that midpoint. So you can see we've got a 1 there. So that's telling us that we've got a positive value on our indicator, and we should be looking to go long. So let's have a look at our so positive values, or those values above 1 are going to be, or a positive value is going to let us know that we should be looking at a potential long setup, and a negative value means that we should be looking to go short in the market. So let's have a look at a seller's day here. So if we scroll forward and we have a look at so the way this works is if you've got a value greater than 1, you've got a bullish market. If you've got a value less than 1, then you've got a bearish market. So, and you'll see that if we go here to our 60-minute time slot, now this is just moving a little bit slower than I wanted, but here we go. So there's the new day, capturing from the new day. And 60 minutes in, which is 1 hour, we're under 1, so that'll give us a negative value. So the markets, what we're seeing here is we're saying, right, well, we're looking to be negative on this. We're looking for short action here, so it's a seller's market. Let's change that to a dynamic, our indicator to a dynamic, and we'll change that to dynamic. Go to 0, and that will completely change our settings, and we'll actually make that, you can see there we're getting negative, start to consolidate a little bit, then another push down, then we've still got a very negative day, so still negative. We haven't gone close to getting into the positive values yet. And what we'll do now is we'll just change this to a 30-minute chart, a 30-minute time slot, and that will definitely, so if we go 30 minutes, this should give us a little bit more dynamic price action as well. There we go. So 30 minutes, it's recording it a little bit faster. So here's where we break up over 2. We start to get bullish. We're bullish, bullish, bullish. 3 starts to really climb there. Now what we can do with this indicator is we can actually add in things like the a trailing stop or the MACD or anything like that. Once we have our indicator set, we can kind of certainly add in values based on what's happening in the market. So it can become a strategy within itself. So it's interesting anyway. So guys, that's a quick look at our market directional indicator. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to just walk you through some of the other markets that we're kind of tracking. on the daily charts. So if we have a look at the other interesting one here is crude oil. Crude oil is really kind of selling off hard. We've had some good volatility on crude. It's still pretty high. You've got crude sitting at really good volatility levels. We've had a strong sell-off from that 76. It's sitting down at 48.50 now. So we had a bit of support at 50, but that's certainly pushed through that level now. So our next area of major support is there at 43.50. We do have some support there, which we probably will get at 45. So there's no surprises that once we get through that 50 level, we've kind of our next target is 45. So keep an eye on that for those trading intraday strategies. Obviously, it's a fairly bearish market at the moment. If you look at the weekly candle close, that's very bearish. So it's definitely a seller's market. If we have a look at some of the other daily charts, we've got soybeans, which is starting to pick up and push towards that 200. It's slightly touched that 200 period and kind of making another run towards the 930 level. So we'll keep an eye on that. Volatility is down on soybeans. The Treasury notes, the 2-year Treasury notes, they're strongly bullish at the moment, and I don't see kind of that changing too much in the foreseeable future. So you can see prices pushing up strongly there if you're trading the notes. The other market that we want to kind of keep an eye on is the S&P, because the S&P has broken that 2600 level. So we could see some solid selling. The next area of support for us will be 25.50, and we've got a touch there. But once we get through that level, the next major kind of area of support and resistance there kind of comes down to about the 24 level. So there's plenty of room there for a push lower on the S&P once we've broken that 25.50 level. So traders, that's a bit of a walkthrough of the current charts at the moment. Remember, we're tracking coffee as well. So some of the other markets we're kind of looking at strongly at coffee. We've got the dynamic strategy, and we've got that end of day system. So at the moment, the dynamic strategy is really doing very well. You can see there that it's making, let's have a look at the performance graph, almost new equity highs there. It's had a solid month so far. It's had a solid couple of months. If we go to the periodic returns, you can see there that November was fantastic at 4,200. That's our best month yet, and we're at 656 so far for December. So still got another couple of days of trading left, so it looks pretty good. As far as the Euro futures and other markets like that, I'll kind of send through a bit of an update on those as we